Welcome to Bahati, talking about real issues. Welcome to Bahati, talking about real issues that are affecting you as an individual. Insights about financial and personal growth, plus better relationships. And now, Bahati.
Welcome. We are back at it. We had, gone through the series of singles, a series of talking about what life means when it comes to marriage and men's leadership. I think we've had quite some series. But right now, we are diving into the deep end of submission. And when I call it deep end, I actually mean it, because so many of us have not even a limited understanding or our own interpretation of what submission is, and that is why we want to dive into it with these beautiful ladies. The beautiful ladies on the set. We have Joweria. She's not new to this segment. She's been an amazing contributor to us, especially in children. It's been so really good. So I know that some of you can't wait to hear from her. And then we have the beautiful Alice. Beautiful Alice, Mama Anaya Omugwati, Muchala Wesley, Kabaka King of radio. We have her in the house, and then we have Gertrude. I usually call her Getu in provocation, but she's an amazing lady. Though, give us a brief introduction, but I just wanted to let you know that we have beautiful ladies diving into submission. I am willing to learn. I have come to take notes. I hope you have come to take notes as well. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I know some of them are like, but what does Gertrude do? Just, in a nutshell.
I'm Gertrude Chihomoro, head of sales at Spirit Media Group. I am a wife, a guardian, and a salesperson. I prefer to, be identified as a salesperson because that's what I do. And then I am married to one John Chihomoro. Married for 2 years. We celebrated our anniversary.
Smile.
Yes. And I'm on this journey of marriage, and I say it's a bed of roses. Yes, you smell the roses and there are some thorns. But if you ask me to stay single, I would rather stay married. Yes.
Nice.
Hello. Thank you for having us on the Bahati Live. My name is Alice Barlow Wesley. I'm married to one gentleman, Wesley King, of radio here at Spirit Media. Yes, and TV. I'm a manager at Ednan Creations, Uganda. I'm a mother to a beautiful daughter, Anaya. And I love marriage. I've grown up in a family that has had 50 years, 55 years, but I've been married for 3 years so far, and looking forward to
100 years.
Yes,
100 years.
Yes, a beautiful marriage.
Oh, awesome.
Hello.
Hey.
My name is Nasaka Joweria. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a media manager in an ad agency. But most of all, I am me. Before all those things,
You are you.
yes. Basically, that's an introduction I would give about myself.
That's going to say a lot about submission. That's going to be. But now, this, when you talk about submission, because I know that so many people pull ropes, this is, it has lasted as long as humanity. And I don't think that our forefathers had so many debates about submission. I think that debates about submission are cropping up now because we have so many gender roles, or we have so many undefined gray areas that people really are like, but women empowerment. But again, does that go with submission? How do you submit when you're an empowered woman? People have gone to school, people have careers, so I think that is where we are getting this sprout up of this conversation coming back to the table. And I just didn't want us to miss this conversation, because again, now we're getting into the end of year, we're getting into family time, and so many marrieds are quitting marriage, and some people are really coming in running. Have you seen that number of weddings happening these days? And sometimes you're like, do they even know what they're getting themselves into? So it's a lot that is happening, but we just want to bring that clarity since you are there. And I want to find out from you, when you had the word submission when you were single, what came into your mind? And when you got into marriage, how did that look different?
Wow.
Because people threw around these words, you know, submission, and you're like, wow, let it come, I'm willing to submit. Versus when, after getting into it.
Wow. What you hear before and what you experience when you get there are two different things, because what you hear is like what is written out for you, a rehearsal of sorts, and then you get into the action. Get into the action, and yeah, submission, what you had and what the expectations are of you in the marriage, from your husband, from yourself. Because even you, as you're submitting, you are trying to fit into what you've been told, and then there is the reality of what your husband is expecting of you and also what the world is expecting. Interesting enough, the societal pressures do not stop. They will tell you, are you cooking for him? Are you doing this and this? And then you're like, okay, yes, I am, and there are some things I am not doing. So for me,
like which things?
For me, honestly, from my point, submission, the Bible tells us, submit to your husband, husbands love your wives. And from the African setting or from our home setting, okay, I'll speak from my home. Submission is the man is...
Is everything.
Yes, you honor him, you respect him, you front him, which is not so bad. But then you're also like, even me, I'm expecting me to be fronted. I am also here. I also have my needs. Now, that is when the education comes in, where I'm also an educated woman. I understand that I have my needs that need to be also catered to. But
so that clarity for you at least happened after you got in,
yes,
to see the real thing, that this is what, not just hearsay, but this is the real thing.
Yeah, this is the real, and it is not, I will not say it is very easy, because he has his expectations of you.
Does he communicate his expectations?
Not
because I feel some men don't communicate their expectations. They expect you to know.
Yes.
But so they expect you to come knowing the whole package.
Especially men who marry Baganda women. They choose particularly a Muganda woman because a Muganda woman mubulidide. So I do not need to tell you some things. You be man. And then you also hear I'm saying, if I don't know even me, I'm not going to act according to what you have not told me. So I'm going to do what I think I am supposed to do. But over and above...
Alice, how different was it?
It was very fascinating. Growing up in a family that has both mom and dad, I got to see how my mom does things for my dad and the way they work together. And then, of course, when it came to the time for getting married, I had a session with my mothers, my aunties, everyone had something to say about submission.
But what were they saying? What were they saying?
It was very fascinating. Like, for example, let me say, one of my aunties from deep down in the village, I remember her telling me during one of the sessions that when your husband comes back home, you have to kneel down and and deep down some of the aunties were laughing on the side. I'm like, okay, I'm somehow in the modern age, but I was understanding the place that she was coming from. I'm like, okay, but in this day and age, there are water heaters. You know, he can just go and just switch it on. And,
why not switch it on for him?
Exactly. But different things or other things that they shared, and I'm like, So I sieved out, and I'm like, let me see what will work for me when I get there. And when I got there, I got to understand, okay, so this is how best we can work together to be able to do this whole marriage thing and to be a submissive wife. I was able to pick up on, okay, this is what works for us, for him and I. I shouldn't really look at every other person's example, because what's working for them will not work for our marriage. Let's make our marriage our own and stay in that space of honoring him, respecting him, working as a team, because this is it's a two-person thing, because you come one. In the church, when you say those vows, you become one. So being able to, yes, honoring him, respecting him, communicating and understanding, okay, this is his place. He has to be the head, but I'm the helper. I need to help him where, you know, maybe he hasn't seen it. Maybe he just needs a clearer view, or maybe I also need a clearer view. Let him help me, but let me help him as well. So that's how we're working.
I still want to understand when a man says this woman is not submission, because I mean, sorry, is not submitting, is or there is no submission in my home. I definitely still want your view from when you were single and then getting into marriage. But I also want us to understand when a man says, because they're always bitter, there is no submission, she does not submit, and then there are usually words that go along with that. Either she's rebellious, either she's disrespectful, either she's as in njagala kumanya bulumi bwa musajja oyo aba ategeeza ki.
Okay. When we have the question of when I was single and when I got married, I'll go back to how I was raised. I don't know if you've heard about something called feminine masculinity. Now, very many women or girls who grew up in single families are raised like that. So I was one, and to be honest, I wasn't the submissive kind. You lead me into something I know I can do myself. How? So I wasn't submissive at all. But and I even told him. I told him the problem is, because when we were dating, I told him the problem with me and getting married is a man wants you to submit, and I don't think I am the kind that can submit.
You told him?
Yes.
How did he look at you?
He just smiled. I told him why. I was raised I was raised to be the hunter. Because you know, there are those roles.
Go-getter, yeah.
I was raised for that, because
have your own house, buy your own car,
I was raised in that aspect. Now, I was in a place where I did not understand what submission in marriage was. Because first of all, I did not come from a married, or I didn't see my parents together.
Yeah.
I had only taken the perspective of hunting. So here I am, and I told him that. But then the reader in me went out and read very many things and all that and all that. And then I noticed something. Submission is not what I knew it for, and very many people out there
have misconceptions.
Yes, there is a misconception about the word and what it actually means when you are married. So I go back to him and tell him, you know what? This is what I found out, this and that. But then I also noticed something. Women, submission is not something, it's just like respect. You don't ask for it, it just comes. So women will always submit to leaders. So if you're a man out there and you feel your woman does not submit to you, you're not a good leader. Women will submit, or a woman will submit to a good leader. Because why? I feel this leader can take me where I want to be in my adult life, in my life where I make decisions for myself. You get it?
You can trust him.
Yes. And the moment I do not trust your leadership, your woman will not be submissive. Because just like she mentioned, I am your helper. There is a podcast I normally listen to. It's an American podcast. It's called Dear Future Wifey. Now, someone was saying on that podcast, and this is true that I also noticed about myself. We thrive in knowledge. You cannot want me to submit to you while I do not know where you're going. You need to sit me down, tell me, okay, this is it, this
plan.
is it.
Yeah.
Make everything clear and have my opinion in there, because we are leading this life together. Because that is in a way of not leading me somewhere I don't want. We are going somewhere where I have contribution to. And it's easy for me. I see the light, I see the future.
So I can be able to trust your lead and be able to follow you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even when I have my opinion, I do not bring it out in a way of crushing a man's ego or something. I bring it out in a way that we need to value both sides.
Yes.
Now, very many men who keep saying their women are not submissive and all that, first of all, it is an ego problem.
A man's problem,
Sure.
his ego is inflated.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's getting them off the actual thing they have to do. Be a good leader. The moment someone becomes egoistic,
You become a dictator.
Yeah.
You call the shots.
yes.
And you want
And
everyone
then-
to say yes, yes.
Yes, it's just like animal psychology. Yeah, there always be a dominant, and every other animal will be
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
But the moment they feel the dominant cannot lead anymore,
They will develop other leaders,
Yes.
cocoons, and before you know it,
Yes.
it's all jumbled up.
so it takes a good leader to have a submissive wife. As simple as that.
A good leader to have a submissive, a good leader to have a submissive wife.
Yes.
Because going back to the anger that men usually have when they say the woman is not really submitting to me, you realize that in that moment, they have not taken it upon themselves to actually talk to the women, to even find out what the issue is. But now they're busy spewing it to everyone else and telling them how my woman is not submitting. But I still want to know in this context, for a man, and whether it's a misconception or not, for a man to say in anger that this person is not submitting, what do they need exactly? Because the ladies must know. What does when your brother comes to you and tells you, my woman is not submissive, I am really angry, I'm tired of this home, what exactly are they saying without saying?
I think it comes down to non-communicated expectations. Joeria put it very well, how I grew up, you get. I have noticed from my experience, the little experience I have, that how a man has been raised, the setting in which has been raised, forms the expectations of his submitted wife. If a man has grown up streetwise, you'll find that this guy does not demand so much. Why? He doesn't even know what he's a hustler. For him, I think what he's looking for is love. You get? Take care of me, because that is now what his immediate need or his most valued need is. A man who has grown up in a setting where the mother
takes care of the father.
I'll take the example of Alice, when she mentioned that woman who will kneel down when the husband has come back, bring hot water and give it to him. A guy who has grown up, a man who has grown up in that kind of setting will demand that, because that is what he has seen. He's seen his mother serve food, doesn't say anything, doesn't respond. There's no communication between husband and wife except when we are discussing basic things. So you have people who have grown up in backgrounds that are chauvinistic, and then you also have people who have grown up in backgrounds which are free. The dad hugs the mother, you know. That so
expectations
will form what he thinks
submission
is supposed to be.
So if he does not see that, then there is no submission.
True.
If the mother was a yes person and the father was a dictator, so he is going to come with that philosophy in his own marriage. And when the other person says, you know what, no, this is not right, then you're not submissive.
And then the conflict is, me, I'm coming from, hey, daddy talks, I talk back to daddy, mommy, you know, and then for you, you're like, that doesn't happen. You don't just talk like that. You're not in another room and then you're calling me out. You come and sit down humbly and talk to me. And me, so those uncommunicated expectations. And it becomes worse if the man who is expecting the submission is not willing to now then tell you, by the way, I grew up like this, because it helps you also. Like, okay, he's coming from this place. And God has given us the blessing of flexibility. Somehow for us, however hard he may be, somehow you find a way of working it out to make sure that, you know, you make him happy.
From this conversation, why do I feel like we need a fresh understanding or a way of teaching? Because people have taught submission for a very long time, but I feel they've been teaching the wrong things or not the right things. I feel like there needs to be a redefinition of submission. For example, is kneeling down submission? I will need to know, you guys, is kneeling down submission?
I think Depends on
Why are you guys tongue-tied?
I think some people might take it as submission, and yet it's not. I don't think it is. I don't think it is, but some people,
because there is respect, there is submission, there is culture.
Yes.
But for me,
defined
kneeling
it.
down is a simply respect.
Respect.
Because it's even weird that I'll kneel down for people that I see are older than me. And like she said, my background, in my culture, we do not stand and,
Greet people.
as simple as that. And then you'll find me in my home not kneeling down for my husband.
But again, you
that
feel like
does
he's
not-
a bad day,
does
he's my
not
friend, it's
mean
not
I don't
disrespect.
You don't respect him. Yes.
But you have a different working formula with
Yes,
him.
yes.
Okay. So
Basically
is
that.
okumutera yamazi the submission?
Okumutera yamazi, submission. Okay,
Yamazi
now,
bagateekawa.
Muchinabiro.
there is a thing now. When we consider the traditional African society and the modern society we live in now, these things
People are still putting water in
different.
this modern society, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, whichever works for anyone, they can do it. But things get different. Because I will see no need of boiling water, put it, I don't know, in Nigeria can.
probably.
And then
Benson.
while there is a water heater somewhere. Yeah. First of all,
Now
it's
that's a
wastage of
different
resources.
setting.
That's a different
That's a
setting,
different
yes.
setting.
Yes.
But there's also one with Kadomola, with Benson, with a pail, with to each their,
That is actually help.
I would not even respect, but help.
That is
Like
even
I
help.
love you, I might as well create a simpler life for
Because
you.
I can
or
help
out.
you and actually refuse
Out
to
of love.
submit to you.
That's
Yeah.
true.
True,
That's
true.
very true.
Yeah.
You can help someone just like you help a friend.
And refuse
You
to
help a
submit.
stranger and you do not submit to them.
Now, like I said, submission is like respect. It's a feeling. Yeah. Until there is a factor for me to develop that feeling in me or any other woman out there, you still have the stories of a man said the woman does not submit. Then it comes to again the empowerment, what is it called? The feminists and all that. First of all, it has been defined wrongly. Especially with feminists, they look at this other aspect of being a woman as something that keeps pulling down their femininity. But first of all, me submitting and me being that submissive wife, femininity is powerful.
It's very
And
powerful.
that is one way I'm using my femininity. Why? To get a way through any situation, to get a way through how we make life with another person. I am a career woman. I work, I have kids, I am married and all that. But when we are at work or in office, we're given positions, yeah? And for example, I might be a CEO, she's a managing director somewhere. And it's about this person understanding the difference in the setting, the work setting and the home setting. You will be a leader as a woman
At your workplace.
at your workplace.
When you come back home, your wife.
You will be an empowered woman, yeah, and all that. But when you get home, I'm not saying someone takes your power, but you use your power differently. Because there is another leader that needs your power to support his
them,
leadership.
to help him.
It doesn't strip you of anything, any femininity in you, anything about you as a woman. But it helps, it shows you the power of femininity. If you can be in these two places and be something different. You find very many men, even when they are not leaders in their places of work, yeah,
At home.
they will want to be leaders.
A palace.
Yeah,
In their home. Because then they have control.
because they have a
Kingdom.
home where they are leader, and they'll think even in this workplace they have to be
Even when they
leaders.
don't have a position.
Now that's the power of femininity. Whenever I am somewhere, I'll conform to what is needed for that particular environment. Yeah. And many women might not have the ability to conform to that, and that's what brings she's not
The
submissive,
clashes.
she's not. and all that.
Do you feel that sometimes women don't submit before we even, because I will have to circle back to getting the clarity that when you say, for example, when you look at another woman and say, oh, she's submissive, what do you actually mean? What actions, what traits? Because I think that's what defeats our minds when we look at it as a whole and we fail to break it down. Like you said, submission is like respect. If it's like respect, that means it has traits. And that means we need to break down these traits so that someone can know the difference between submission, respect, and being helpful, and also being understanding. Because there are people who are, you're not submissive, but you're very understanding. And just like you're flexible to conform to certain things and say, here, I'm not going to raise my voice. Here, I'm not going to disrespect. Here, I'm going to measure my power and cut it down. Why? Because you have control over what you do as a woman. So I know that our time is really running very fast, but I'm circling back to understand the traits, and that is where I want us to begin when we get back to this conversation.
Spirit TV, a place for you.
Did you know that you can acquire a skill in less than 3 months? Dynamic Media School skills you in TV and radio presenting, motion graphics, graphics designing, control room management, show production, audio production, confidence building, lighting and videography, personal branding, social media management, cinematography, video editing, marketing and sales, and effective communication. This is designed to provide practical skills and hands-on experience with the focus on developing critical thinking, research, and communication skills. You will have access to high-quality learning materials, including online lectures and other resources, as well as a dedicated team of facilitators and influencers who are available to assist you with any questions or concerns that you might have. Enroll today. Call 0702 021 834 or WhatsApp 0760-881-331. Dynamic Media School is an excellent choice for anyone looking to start or advance their career in this exciting and dynamic field. You don't get the life that you deserve, but that which you decide. It's time for you to decide to dominate your life. You don't do that by just having passion, you need a plan. Let's show you how you grow practically in character, competence, and in other areas of life. Welcome back to Bahati.
I've said it so many times that teaching a woman to submit to an unloving husband is like teaching a child to swim in a swimming pool without water. Like, it's literally impossible. If someone does not love you, love is like a lubricant that makes things easy. Just like Joeria talked about leadership, that if you lead, someone is able to trust you. And if you lead well, not just because leading can be huge. If you lead with love, if you lead with understanding, if you lead with foresight and having the best interest, my best interest at heart while you lead, then I know we are building an empire. But if I know that your ego is causing you to build your own empire minus me and you don't have my best interest, then nange bagamba kulinya mchawakati ulinyamuke chawakati noga. Let me look at where you are going, and because it's impossible, you can't swim in such muddy waters. You need someone to make it easy for you. But as if we even talk about the traits, because I really want us to talk about the traits. I know there are not so many, but at least it will help to draw a broader perspective of the people that have just been hearing submission without understanding what exactly. Because I will go with me first. I really think the first trait of being a submissive wife is being able to know that, yes, I have an opinion, but that opinion has to be respectful and not dismissive of whatever it is that we are talking about. So that means I stand on the power of knowing that I can speak up, and I am supposed to speak up because I have the intelligence and the capacity and the contribution that I need, but that contribution should be able to be respectful and polite.
Sure.
So what other traits can we look at?
The traits of a submissive wife, that is. What I'll point out, I'll give examples of people that I have admired, and I have looked at them, and according to me, they are very submissive. I have a few friends, and for me, it's about even the speech. They talk to you, and they are very respectful in the way they address you. And you're imagining, if she can talk to me like this, that means even at home, she's able to measure her words and, you know what to say at what time. Yeah.
There are some people who can come and they're like that. Then when they go back the other side, but when they come this side, you talk about the angako, like. Oh
yes.
But when they are torturing the spouse, but still it's a trait. Nonetheless, it's a trait of a submissiveness goes with politeness of speech and being able to be respectful.
And it is learned.
Yeah, it is.
It is learned because I'll speak for those couples that have not been living together. If you guys have been crashing it together for 7 years and then you decide to put a ring on it, it's a different case. There is not much friction because you've understood each other somehow. But if you've been living on your own, he's been living on his own, and then you come together, clearly, in the face of two people, there's always going to be conflict. It's his space, it is his home. He knows. He has been given the right in church, husband. Take your wife. He's paid his cows, whatever he has paid. So even when he goes home, there's a kingdom already set where you are going. But some of the traits I think that I have learned in the past few years is to know when to come in, to know when to address a certain issue, and also to let him be.
Let him be.
I've realized that helps a lot. I am confrontational by nature. When you
you took your saleswomanship back to your marriage, to his kingdom.
How long are we going to talk about something until it is done? Let's have it done. And then I realized when I overhand peck, I don't get anything. He'll keep quiet.
He puts you in your place.
He will just keep quiet. And then you're like, now what do I do? Now, you're that two of you in the house. For us, we do not have other people. So you're the two of you in the house. So you're like, okay, I said. And now I slowly learned that his language is, say it once, I have listened.
I have heard.
I have heard you.
Let me be.
I will do it. You do not have. I've found out that when you do it repetitively, it is not going to yield
irritating.
It's irritating to him. So that is a language that I have slowly learned. When I say it, even if it is pressing, you'll be like, Chukomao.
And after some time, you learn that if it's not going to kill me, I might as well leave. Okay.
So for me, I will let.
Those are the traits.
Yes, those are some of the traits.
Traits of why are you looking at it like that woman is submissive?
I think one of the traits, or I don't think it's really a trait, is maybe how you see the couple together, their body language, the way they speak to each other, the way they do their things might be something that you see. Okay, this lady is submissive to the husband, because you can tell a lot by also the body language.
People fake these days.
Public.
People fake.
But I don't think you can really fake that long.
And then the ones that are fighting and bickering all the time, they're the ones who are honey.
Not
really. I think there is a time and a place for everything. But it's true. There are people you look at and you're like, yeah, that's admirable.
Yes, that's admirable.
Especially if it's over time.
Yes, over a certain period.
Because if you look at a stranger once and they're holding hands and they wait and what, I mean, it's just a stranger, you don't know. But when you see a person doing it year in, year out, consistently, then you're like, you know what, there's a level of, Yes,
and then, like how she said, being able to, let him take the lead. Because now when you're home, not everyone is going to really see how you let him take the lead, unless it's your children over time, like you said. Being able to see, and especially when the couple coming from a Christian-based family, when you're both Christians, since you're both submitting to God, then that makes it easy and also for one to see, okay, these guys are really submissive. She's a submissive wife, the way she carries herself, the way she respects her husband. Because I believe all those things play a part to submission. I don't know what some men, you might even find that their view on submission is totally wrong. So when they come and say, hey, this wife is not submissive,
they actually don't mean submission. They don't mean submission.
And backgrounds, like how we've been sharing, it's really, really important since we've all come from different backgrounds. Just the mere fact we grow up with our siblings have different traits. Now this is somebody you've come to start a whole family together. Believe me, he also has different traits. But being in that position of a godly wife and knowing that you have to be submissive, you have to let him take the lead, be a team.
You take him remember the traits. If you're saying one of the traits is a woman who lets the man take the lead. Like, what is the vivid example? For example, he says, tugenda kuzimba mchisenyo gamba ye mwami. Agamba gwe nokutwala kampiringisa agamba tewali buzibu mwami tugende
mugenda. If you don't like the idea, I think maybe you could also help and maybe suggest other places, and if he says yes, he has said yes.
Wanga kugamba era byange byendeta bye bitakola mugaso ebyo, those are the only things here. You've never seen how submission throws people off balance.
When you bring in the idea of tugenda kuzimba mchisenyi, as a submissive wife, I would say, okay, tugenda kuzimba mchisenyi, but on a rainy day, we shall not survive because of this, that, and the other. So let's weigh our options. Is it the best we can have? Are we ready to suffer with the rain? Things like that. We are getting a permanent place to stay, but the permanent place is coming with this. You weigh in on. Okay, my trait would be, have you seen people who live in unison even when you only see one of them? Especially with decision making. I have a friend who was about to get married and she was like, you guys are not ready for me. You call me and I'm like, let me first ask hubby. Now that is a form of submission. If you now you understand that life is not about you alone. So if when you choose oneness with another person, it's now about the two of you.
And it affects both of you.
So whatever will come, whether good or bad, will affect the both of you. So how to mitigate is to discuss one stand as the two of you on certain matters, especially with decision making.
And I think most people that usually quarrel about lack of submission, they usually do it in Luganda. So all the examples I have in Luganda. Akola bibiye, you know, teyebuza ku muntu yamanya nyinyo.
Now, especially with men, the moment you start seeing your wife nga akola bibiye, nenga siri yali akola. Just know they have lost trust in your leadership.
Yeah.
Because if there was a time you thought
everything
this woman akola byamwe, and right now akola bibye, she's not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. She doesn't even know who owns the light at the end of the tunnel.
She doesn't know that she will get to it anyway.
So now this is still natural. Now the me person comes in.
Yeah.
You see, people are born with everything. We can be mean, we can be anything and all that.
And if you trigger us the right way,
whichever way,
we give it to you in a good measure. Pressed
so
down.
Now here, while I was a very good submissive wife, and we've reached a point and you think I'm no longer submissive, check, do a check. What's happening? Yeah. Did you do something wrong? Now, you always find that whoever is complaining and who is not, the wife is not submissive, there is something they did. You'll find that most women do not talk about them, but their actions will
say louder. And guess what? They will want the actions to say louder.
Yes,
some women, because
so if you miss it out and you don't come out in your leadership to discuss what happened, the submissive wife will not want to offend you. They'll keep quiet about it. But body language is something you cannot lie about. So
your feelings.
Remember, submission has a lot to do with body language. So it will speak. Yeah. you cannot
It will
lie
be disgusted, it will feel
you cannot lie
numbed.
with body language. So as it speaks, that's when you start seeing, because now the main character has kicked in. I can't survive here, I have to find a way out. That's why I'll be saying, let's go here, like, why? She's planning, I am working here and doing this and that. Yeah.
So she's now leading herself, so to
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Okay.
And
But
if you find into obukulembeze babukubyemu
Ebituli.
instead of quarreling, go back and
Yes.
sometimes even speak to a fellow man and a man that you really think is doing better than you are. The bad thing with some men with their ego is they will go to people who are even performing lesser than they are performing to complain and quarrel. You see, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. And they're like, but women are like that. That is not a solution. But when you go back and someone, let's trace, when did you lose this position in her life? When did she stop listening? And you, before you know it, you're pinpointing a problem that needs to be solved, and a way of approach even to the lady. Because sometimes you know that a man can approach you with a problem that they caused, and you'll even dismiss it. Because then you're not ready to talk about it. You're like, no, that's not the issue. And yet it's the issue. What he needs is a little more persistence so that you can be able to open up and say, indeed, it was the issue, you did not listen, and I don't think I'm willing to be taken for granted.
A little thing on my trait is when some women see that they're living life unison with someone else, they think that, okay, my part has been taken, I can't make my own decisions and all that and all that. You can make these decisions, but they should be discussed with your partner. Yes. So that, because it's just someone being responsible for you and you being responsible for them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, whatever effect comes from your decision, whether good or bad, it will affect the both of you, or even the 7 of you if you have to.
That's true. That's true. So you don't take it like it's a prerequisite, it's a demand. No one is demanding for it. You actually must grow into it, and that's why we say marriage is for grown-ups.
And if a woman ever feels hard to speak about her decision to her partner, that means she's not yet submissive. Yes. I told you this thing will just flow. You're like, the first thing in mind is, I have to talk to so and so about this. Is it a good idea? Can we go up with this? Because now this life is about the two of you. Yes,
and she feels she can trust you.
Every other thing can happen in the future, whether good or bad. But here, you did it.
And you know that even when it's a bad, not really a bad situation, but something that is not, you know, sometimes as women we will go with an issue that we know, bagenda kujigoba, like it's not right, but you go with it. But you have trust that you're going to discuss it, and even when it's not going to be activated, it is not going to be just dismissed. You're bringing shoddy ideas. You're like, okay, we will turn it, we will look at it, I will tell you the pros and the cons, and then I will tell you, you know what, let it be on a standstill, let's see what else we can do. And I think that is why we say that in order for someone to submit, there has to be love and good leadership, because then they feel they are in a safe space to open up and be vulnerable without being judged and castigated and being rebuked all the time. Otherwise, if you rebuke someone all the time, they become
shy
to help, but you rebuke them, not just rebuke, because rebuking will be good, but you castigate them, you chastise them, you criticize them. Before you know it, they will find another man to tell those same ideas, because God created us with a longing to be led. And I don't know whether you've seen some married women that trust other men, or even a man that she works with, than the husband. She will discuss a business idea. She will discuss her going back to school with another person. She will discuss the car she wants to buy with another person. Why? Because every time she has brought her packages before you, it has been null and void, shut down. Why do you want to go to school? You're wasting time. Well, this person is saying, now there are these opportunities of promotion. If you can only tarry in, maybe do an online course instead of a day course, maybe do this. But
they become their friend.
Someone becomes their friend because you're not willing to take up your place as a husband. And that's why I want us to hint on what are those things that husbands have done that have caused the submissiveness to become impossible. Because there are some homes where you clearly see, Bambi, if the word submission ever came into play, like, it will be a mistake. Like everything has been set on a wrong footing. What are those things that has, because again, if they are leading, that means follow the leader. We follow the leader. So that means if the leading has disappeared or something is wrong with the foundation, everything that is going to be built on that foundation is going to be, it's going to be bad. But again, it's so easy for someone to bypass the leader role and castigate the one that is supposed to be submissive. And I think that is where women got tired and said, you know what, not every problem in a marriage is supposed to be a woman's problem. It does not fall on a woman's lap. There are some problems that are leadership problem and men problem that must also be investigated. So where do we feel that the men are letting us down?
Wow. Men, I'll go back. You've raised a very key issue on loving. When you love, when somebody is loved, somebody when at the wedding of Ise and Inebantu of Busoga, there's a minister who spoke, and he said, we've been married, is it 15 years? And what has helped us is for me to love your wife into submission. I wanted to clap my hands for this man. Love your wife into submission. Guys, a loved woman, submission comes automatically. Love your wife. And I will take it back to the biblical perspective. Allow me to read.
It's okay.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself as a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Wives, submit to your husbands, to your own husbands, as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Men, when you're reading the submission bit,
read the love also.
Read the love also, but know that Christ is using, this is the example, marriage is the example of God loving the church. Honestly speaking, the church is you and me, rebellious, forgetful, whatever. You as Christ, you as Christ, God has given men that mandate and position to stand in his place. You get, it's a high honor. We love God, we worship him, we do all these things because he has loved us selflessly, and unconditionally. So where men have fallen back on this is fronting their ego. I want, you demand. A woman that is loved by her husband fully, unconditionally, will submit.
How do you want us to love you?
How do you?
What is love?
Involve me. She's talked about when you're going to make a decision. There are those men who have been raised. These decisions like construction, what they are yours, it is your home. Amakaga gundi ne gundi ya gafuga. So the woman will only be involved in kitchen issues, buying curtains, eddagala ly'abaana.
Kati bwe babikulekera waliwo abasajja abakola buli kimu.
Abakola buli kimu. Kati ati wokola buli kimu. If you inform me, now that is where they fall back. For me, it is of let me. So
you want to be involved?
I want to be involved. You know,
that is how you understand that you are loved.
Exactly.
Toyagala bidala. Chips and chicken outing.
Byonna byonna tujja bikwatako. Naye involve me. I mean, you've brought me, you picked me from my home. Nange mbadde ne dreams zange, I've decided, okay, I'm going to partner with you on this dream of yours. So if you're not involving me in your dream, kati ondeetedde ki? Tell me, we want to
where can I help? I'm a helper.
Thank you.
Give me
if you kill that helping part of me, like you said, I'm going to find somebody else that I'm going to help. So involve me.
God forbid.
We want God forbid indeed. But don't involve your wife. By the way, you love this woman. Or there are men who marry women because they are dofis. They want someone they can rule.
Of course.
Sagala mukazi reasoning, sagala mukazi ategeera, sagala mukazi agenda kummalako mirembe. She's going to be too much for me. But men who have decided, I want someone who's going to challenge me. But the problem,
some of them leave those women and then they go for a bategeri outside.
Kati yete,
now you don't know what they want.
Me ategeere nnyo make use of me.
Okay.
My intelligence is not here to be kept in a box and thrown away. And I believe even an uneducated woman is intelligent. Yes, they are. Our grandmothers raised homes without education, what we call education. They had their own form of education. Involve me. Honestly, if you do involve me, I feel like, I'm like, hey.
Where are they going wrong?
Where are they going wrong? Yeah, I think when you do not let your husband lead you, and no, not even him leading you, but wait, let me
calibrate.
Yeah, because what she talked about is some men have not played the right role by not involving their women. So it's so hard for the women to submit because they just don't feel involved. What are the guys doing wrong that is making submission so hard? Like it is really hard.
I think selfishness also plays quite a part. When he's thinking all about himself, and not involving the wife. Because you came together and you had a vision, something that you placed on the table for her to know that, okay, this is where we'll go as a family. So now when you take that away and you're being selfish, thinking about your own self and not about your family or about her, to be able to come and sit down and talk about certain things, be in unison, like how she shared, so that the lady, the wife, is able to submit to, you know,
to your plan.
Yes, to your plan, to the plan that we have together, because we are one. So selfishness.
Yeah, some of them think about themselves.
Yes,
They're egocentric.
themselves.
It starts with them and ends with them.
Yes, and their own thoughts.
And then they want you to be submissive, but not knowing that they're asking for respect, not submissive, not submission. So they're saying kneel down, they're saying do all these things, they're saying, but you're like, you know what? Do you know that without, if you can't submit, even respect is very hard. They move hand in hand.
True.
And I think a place where there is submissiveness, you see the couple flourishing. There's a lot of flourishing. You see them changing or becoming better.
And no one can pretend to submit. It's either existent or it's non-existent.
Yeah. So you usually see couples that are, the wife when she's submissive, or a marriage that is really flourishing, you're able to see the fruits. You'll even hear friends or family telling you, so and so, Ngachu say he's become better, he's this and that. So I think those are some of the characteristics, by the way. So being submissive, we need to be able to submit the way you don't see God and you submit to him, and yet God has a plan for you that you know that is good. Yeah. Then the husbands lead with love, like we've been sharing, lead with love, so this lady knows, okay, becomes easy for her, by the way, she'll automatically be submissive without having to tell her, this, that, becoming a nagging wife.
Personally, me, I cannot submit to the unknown. That is me.
You have to be in the know.
So where we started from when I spoke to my husband, that was the cutting edge. I have to be in the know. What do you want me to submit to?
Keep me in the loop.
What do you want me to submit to? I need to know.
The plan,
so that
vision.
Just like she shared, we are very many women are educated. They are career women. I mean, this intelligence has to be put somewhere.
To use.
We have to do the math together. Like, I'm even wondering, I don't think there is a woman who can submit to the unknown. They just live for that day and the next day and the other day and see what will happen. But me, I've learned, from how I
You have to be in the
I
know.
cannot live life by surprise. I have to know what's happening tomorrow, what's happening the other day, what do we have in the next 5 years, and all those things.
Financially, emotionally, spiritually.
Because even if I do not know, whatever the effects will be, good or bad, they'll come back to me. So I need to know what's coming and prepare.
How about the women that are told, and I really didn't want us to end without talking about this, the women that are told that, you know what, you submit, the love will find you there. You know, because you've had those people, especially if a woman comes complaining and they're like, now you be the one to do the good things. You never know. You will help him do the good things along the way. So they tend to tilt the boat to one side, and the woman becomes the gwali no kuguma. You know, the lack of love and the lack of clarity and the lack of everything, and then make up for it. And yet, that's not how it works. You cannot make up for anything.
Going back to our naturality, men will never grow in love. So if you ever get married to a man who does not love you, thinking they will later on love you, you are
and yet a woman can grow to love.
Yes. Women always grow to love, because why? In our setting, how God created us, with very many decisions women make, they come from the heart. They're emotional. Now, with men, they come from the
Logic.
I have to think about it. You'll find that a man will marry someone because of their intelligence, because of how they do their things, and trust me, they will love that person for that, not even how they look. And that is why people be asking, no, it's beyond what you see. For that. Now, for me to be that person, I need to see the bringing in of
your
my
effort.
My effort.
Yeah,
like,
the reciprocation of that.
It has to be two-way. Like, you feed me, I feed you. You've seen how empty families are. The families of, you've seen, I think we are now past the age where we think the nice houses, those families are perfect and all that. We have seen, I so many times see very good families that live on the normal basics of life, and they're happy and they're flourishing, because it's not about the material things. It's about
the heart, and they're both into it.
Yes. So if you ever be there, and that is what will bring in the submission. So as a woman out there, not before you start saying someone's son is very narcissistic and all that, don't tie yourself with him.
Know what you're getting yourself into. And as we wind up, that reminds me, when we talk about that love is a dance and a relationship is a dance, you realize that it's very hard to dance with someone that is stiff. They are standing in one place, but for you, you are busy dancing by yourself. Newe uja, newe torola, nokumao, newe, and you even, and there are people who are like that. The women who want others to see them like they're in a good relationship, so they're busy displaying everything, you know, doing all these things, and you're like, na yewe umuze muko, like tewe uja nyoe, omuntu gwe bagala taina kutaga muntu nsiyo nanti bakwagala. As in love, we can see it by the glow. We can see it by, you know, by you not wanting to prove anything to the world. If you're in a good place, you don't need to shout it on the mountaintop. Literally, we will feel the vibes and we will feel the energy. And we still have a big problem there. I think that should be a topic, your next on
topic.
Its own. On its own. So if love is a dance, if someone is not dancing, go back to the seat and sit. And wait, another Prince Charming can come and ask for your hand in a dance. And let me tell you, they will spin you around, you know, the whole dance floor. And you'll be like, yeah, it's so good. I waited it out. So if someone does not love you, if someone does not have good intentions, if you're single, do not bother. If you're in marriage, also be very calculative. Yes, pray about it. But sometimes when someone does not come to give you a hand to dance, like you said, I want to be informed. If someone is not offering information, go back and sit. It does not mean that get out of your marriage. Stay in your marriage, do your part, but again, do not seek to step on their toes all the time in demand of give me the information, tell me this, love me and show me this. And where umozeko in a prayer moment, in loving yourself, in personal growth, in contributing wholesomely to your family, and we see what can actually happen, and even get help if you really need the help. But we love you. From us to you is a good night.